Hello everyone and welcome back to the Common Sense Crypto channel. As with you always, this is Rich doing another video today on XRP. So I hope you're all having a wonderful day today wherever you are in this great world. We're going to talk about XRP. I'm going to start with this. Ripple haters have no choice but to start rooting for XRP because the SEC has come after their darlings as well. The destiny of XRP will become their destiny as well. Took them 3 years to see the writing on the wall. Now, you see Gary going after stablecoins, after staking as well. And Ripple is out there fighting for all of crypto. People still don't understand that. If Ripple wins this case, it will set off the next run, in my opinion, because now we'll have some sort of clarity around crypto. But if Ripple was to lose, it sets crypto back at least another year, if not longer. This case is bigger than people think, and it will affect every single crypto out there. So honestly, if Joe Katz is saying this, XRP will most definitely not hit 589 and so on. But this is about the buyback, and I want to break this down because people keep calling me out on this. Why are you not talking about it? Why are you not behind this? And I'm going to explain it to you one last time. So Ripple CTO David Schwartz has spoken out in a recent tweet about the XRP buyback proposal that first surfaced in 2021 and is now resurfacing with a second iteration. The controversial proposal is currently being heated discussion again on Twitter after Vail Capital CEO Jimmy Valley brought up the idea again. The theory is based on the belief that XRP will become the world's reserve currency when government debt skyrockets worldwide and all banks switch to ISO 222 and use XRP to conduct cross-border monetary transactions. This would mean that governments around the world would have to buy large amounts of XRP. Now let's put this in more perspective. By the time this happens, the current financial system will be collapsing out. And then all of a sudden, XRP will be needed for on-demand liquidity because the world's going to fall into a liquidity crisis. So what would they pay you in for your XRP? US dollars? Absolutely not. The US dollar would be practically worthless at that time. Then people talked about the ESDR and XRP being backed by gold. XRP doesn't need to be backed by anything. It will have a monetary value, the same way gold and silver does. And if there's a buyback on XRP, why wouldn't there not be a buyback on XLM as well? Because these two cryptos are going to move a lot of money. The one thing I want to keep you safe from, I'm not going to say a buyback will never happen, but by the time it happens, the world could be in chaos. Panic's going to set in when this current financial system collapses. I'm going to tell you this right now. You should be holding some physical gold and silver because I think there's going to be a transition phase where maybe for a period of time you would have to barter or something like that. You don't understand how big a financial collapse can be and how long it will take to get the new system put in place and up and running at the same time. I like to think that there's going to be a transition before this current system completely goes to zero, that the new system will already be up and running, kind of like they'll be running parallel. You'll have digital currency and you'll still have fiat currency. But the direction that the world is pushing doesn't look like that's going to happen. You know, your ideas and my ideas don't have to coincide. Remember that. If you believe there's going to be a buyback, hold on to that idea. But never sign over any of your crypto to anybody. And I'm going to tell you why. If it gets really bad out there and martial law gets put into effect, who's going to uphold the contract? Is the court system still going to be up and running? Is there going to be a pause before law and order is restored again in this country? Hold on to your crypto. Who knows what can happen? The US dollar totally worthless. Picture this. The only thing accepted is crypto. You don't have control of your crypto because you signed it over to Vail Capital as a custodian. Now there's nobody able to answer the phone because the phone system's down, the internet's down. Remember the major black swan event is supposed to happen? All I want to do is keep you safe. You know, I could come on here and tell you I 100% believe in the buyback, and I'd get 100,000 views probably. But would I be telling you the truth? No. Would I be telling you what I believe? No. I'm going to tell you what keeps you safe, what keeps you holding your crypto so you can enrich yourself in the future. That's what I want to do for you. You know, if you believe in this so much and you're willing to hand over your XRP holdings, go right ahead. But I would not suggest it, only because I don't know where we're going to be by the time any of this would fall into place. Once the new system comes up and running, I believe XRP will have a value put on it by the central banks, the same way commodities get monetary value, the same way gold has a value to it. And that's what I believe is going to happen. And I still believe XRP is going to hit high prices in the future. And I believe it's going to be a high price stable coin as well. Now we're going to talk about this because this is something that happened today and it was taken down by Forbes. So Ripple versus SEC, Forbes senior contributor files motion to release Hinman documents. When you go to look at this, at some point, I'm going to show you. So the motion filed yesterday by attorney Carl Cesare on behalf of Leighton seeks to leave to petition the court for access to the drafts of William Hinman's 2018 controversial speech. Leighton, through her counsel, opposes a recent motion filed by the Securities and Exchange Commission to seal some documents of Hinman's speech. Recall that on December 22, 2022, the SEC moved to seal some documents associated with Hinman's speech document, offered to support its summary judgment motion. The SEC also requested to seal some of Hinman's controversial speech documents referenced by Ripple in its opposition. So she is filing to get this out to the public. So why SEC treats Ripple and Ethereum differently by Rosalind Leighton. And what happened? Forbes took down the whole article for some reason. I guess Gary Gensler called them up and worked some magic, or somebody did. But here is the deleted article by Forbes, why the SEC treats Ripple and Ethereum differently. So let's go through this. Regulators aren't supposed to choose the market's winners and losers, yet it's hard to ignore how securities laws are applied differently to the Ethereum Foundation compared to companies like Ripple. And they don't get to choose winners and losers. They have to uphold the law. As the Securities and Exchange Commission case against Ripple Labs winds down after more than 2 years of public scrutiny, a judge in the Southern District of New York contemplates whether judges will unseal the Hinman speech documents. That's what we're all waiting for as well. We want to see what's in those documents. The documents refer to a 2018 speech by then SEC Director of Corporate Finance William Hinman, which, absent explicit regulatory guidance, constitutes the best public instruction for crypto stakeholders to avoid an enforcement action. And we know he was getting paid millions of dollars. It declared one crypto asset, Ethereum's native token, Ether, as outside the securities laws. And that's when it got a free pass. Subsequently, the SEC launched a case against a similar project to Ethereum, Ripple, seeking billions in penalties for a virtually identical offering that reasonable appeared to fit Hinman's criteria for Ether. As a regulatory scholar, I am concerned about this inconsistency. See, she gets it. She sees the inconsistency. Why did Ethereum get a free pass? A conflict of interest explanation suggests that Hinman had a financial stake in an entity promoting Ether over competing coins like XRP. Separately, the government watchdog organization Empowered Oversight sued the SEC to obtain materials that show Hinman received millions of dollars in retirement payments from his former law firms, Simpson, Thatcher, and Bartlett, and that STB joined an alliance devoted to exclusive promotion of Ethereum, and even that SEC warned Hinman about the appearance of such conflicts. In any event, unsealing the speech documents could clarify whether Ethereum's proponents influenced Hinman's speech, and we know it did, clearly. While Hinman himself starts the speech by saying that it only reflects his view, not the SEC's, the unsealing could show whether SEC officials had a view on the matter. Typically, such speeches are approved by agency counsel before going public. Such findings could strengthen the defense's claim that the SEC failed to provide fair notice. If the SEC itself was confused or ambivalent about crypto policy, it follows that innovators and investors could be as well. The case serves as an important referendum on regulation by enforcement as defined by Carol Goforth in Regulation by Enforcement, Problems with the SEC's Approach to Crypto Asset Regulation. And it's still continuing today. That's why the crypto space is in shambles. Nobody knows which way to turn because there's no regulations put in place. At issue are critical legal questions of whether the pursuit of enforcements against innovation technologies for lack of compliance and other purported harms are legitimate use of taxpayer resources versus a forthright delineation of policy by the SEC, if not Congress. To seal or unseal, the battle of motions. To seal or unseal is a common debate in federal regulatory litigation. Former General Counsel banking regulator Thomas Vartanian explains while transparency protects a free flow of information in the agency process, courts will often be asked to decide if the privilege is being overused. Courts may examine the evidence at issue in camera so it only seen by a judge who can then determine the legitimate boundaries of the protection with specific knowledge of the information in question. The SEC's counsel moved to seal the documents, reflect internal discussions and deliberations by numerous SEC officials, which should remain confidential. SEC officials repeatedly expressed their views and positions on issues of programmatic significance to the SEC. The ability of agency officials to debate and collaborate with openness and candor would be hampered by public dissemination of these documents, the motion to the court said. So we already know what's in those documents. We know Hinman was getting paid. Ethereum got a free pass. So why not make it public at this point? Because Gary, I believe, still wants to protect Ethereum. I still think they're working together. Indeed, the SEC's website lists Freedom of Information Act exemptions, notably for national security, trade secrets, and personal issues. The court already determined that the Hinman speech documents are not subject to the deliberative process of attorney-client privileges. So that means that it should be given out to the public. It may be a high legal hurdle for the SEC to claim that Hinman's speech was sufficient regulatory guidance and then reused to make public the backup of the speech. The notion that a regulatory agency could favor one actor at the firm or industry requests demonstrates the concept of regulatory capture, a defining concept in the 1971 Theory of Economic Regulation by George Stigler, who subsequently won the Nobel Prize in Economics. Stigler challenged the idea that regulation is conducted to protect the public, but rather serve the industry. And I believe what's going on as well, while we're tied up in this litigation, while we're still tied up in this case, innovation in the U.S. is being held back. The rest of the world's moving very fast. He noted how the SEC garnered the authority to limit selling expenses of mutual funds, thus limiting the growth of small mutual funds and hence reducing the sales cost of large funds. Building on Stigler, my own research of controversial net neutrality internet regulation across 50 countries over the last decade shows a similar trend of establishment firms, U.S. tech platforms, pressing for regulation to prevent market entry. They're trying to hold back innovation every way they can, only to let certain companies strive and move forward. While such open internet rules are pre-offered to ensure the next Google, they do the opposite by imposing a set of price and traffic controls that limit the ability of entrant services and applications to compete and differentiate. In other words, Google won't ever have competition. Regulation should be adopted with targeted, limited aims for truly hard problems. Indeed, the crypto industry has consistently asked Congress to develop the needed legislation to clarify the roles of U.S. regulators. Presently, at least 8 agencies assert jurisdiction over crypto assets. And that's why Brad's always going to Congress as well. He wants them to step in and rein in Gary already, because it's been going on for far too long. The author owns no cryptocurrency and has no financial interest in the case. She has no relationship, financial or otherwise, with any parties in the article. So she is just looking out for crypto. Yet she doesn't even hold crypto. She receives no compensation to study this topic, but pursues it as part of her research on regulatory policy. She participated in a motion to request the SEC create transparency on this case and received no compensation to do so. That is somebody that's out there working for crypto without even getting paid to do so. That's how much she believes that the SEC is so corrupt, and that corruption was tied to this Ripple case from day one. And then, of course, Forbes takes down the article. And I believe Gary probably called up some buddies over there. Crush this. We don't need this out in the public. But you see what's happening. We need regulations. This way, new crypto companies know what to do when they start up. You know, companies like LBRY, still in the garage phase, ends up in a lawsuit with the SEC. That needs to stop happening inside of crypto. But it will, as long as Gary sees every single crypto as a security. That's why this Ripple case is so important. It will move the entire crypto space forward. It'll move crypto into the mainstream. Institutional money will pour into crypto. Then you'll have enterprise come on board. We'll have banks come on board. It's just a matter of time. But with that said, I'm going to wrap up this video. I want to thank you all for watching. I appreciate all of you watching my videos. We'll see you in the next one. Have a great night.